In Florida, it's illegal to fart in a public place after 6 p.m. on Thursdays. And in Kentucky, you can't carry an ice cream cone in your back pocket. But those aren't even the weirdest laws. What I'm about to show you will make you question everything you thought you knew about shopping. Shopping seems simple, right? You walk into a store, grab what you need, pay, and leave. But what if I told you that doing something as basic as trying on a hat or carrying your groceries a certain way could land you in legal trouble? All around the world, there are shopping laws so bizarre that they sound completely made up. But they're real. And some of them are still enforced today. I spent weeks digging through legal documents, old law books, and government websites to find the most insane shopping laws that actually exist. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at shopping the same way again. Here's the thing, most of us have no idea we're breaking the law when we shop. We think we're just normal people buying normal stuff. But there are hundreds of outdated, strange, and downright ridiculous laws still on the books that could technically get you arrested or fined. And the craziest part, some of these laws were created decades or even centuries ago, but nobody bothered to remove them. So right now, without even knowing it, you might be a criminal just for the way you shop. Let's start with something that'll blow your mind. In Oklahoma, you can't take a bite out of someone else's hamburger, like legally. If you and your friend are sharing food and you bite their burger without permission, you're breaking the law. I'm not kidding. This law was supposedly created to prevent the spread of diseases back in the day, but it's still technically enforceable. Imagine getting arrested because you wanted a taste of your buddy's Big Mac. Now let's talk about grocery shopping. In Massachusetts, it's illegal to put tomatoes in clam chowder. Not just frowned upon, illegal. The state takes its clam chowder so seriously that they actually made Manhattan-style clam chowder a legal offense. If you're caught adding tomatoes to your chowder in Boston, you could face a fine. The locals don't mess around when it comes to their soup. Here's another one. In Tennessee, you're not allowed to share your Netflix password. Now, this one is newer and people break it all the time, but technically, sharing streaming passwords falls under a law about unauthorized access to computers. So every time you give your login to your parents or your ex who still uses your account, you're committing a crime. The fine can be up to $2,500. Yeah, that's more expensive than just paying for their own subscription. Moving on to clothing stores. In New York, it's illegal to try on clothes if you have a communicable disease. This sounds reasonable at first, but here's the problem. How do they know? Are there disease police checking everyone at the fitting room? The law is so vague that technically, if you have a cold and try on a shirt, you're breaking the law. And during flu season, the entire city is full of criminals. Let's get weirder. In Louisiana, it's illegal to rob a bank and then stop by a store to buy something on your way out. This law specifically states that a criminal cannot make a purchase immediately after committing a crime. So if you rob a bank, which is already super illegal, and then swing by the corner store for a soda, you've now committed an additional crime. Because apparently, robbing a bank wasn't enough. They really wanted to make sure you couldn't grab a snack afterward. In Minnesota, you can't cross state lines with a duck on your head. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone do that? But here's the kicker. This law doesn't just apply to live ducks. It includes anything duck-related. So if you buy a rubber duck at a store in Minnesota and wear it as a hat while driving to Wisconsin, you're technically breaking the law. This law was created to prevent the illegal transportation of game birds, but the wording is so broad that it covers everything. Here's one for all the ice cream lovers. In Alabama, it's illegal to have an ice cream cone in your back pocket on Sundays. This law dates back to the Old West when horse thieves would put ice cream in their pockets to lure horses away. Apparently, horses love ice cream. Who knew? So if you stick your cone in your back pocket on a Sunday in Alabama, you're technically a potential horse thief in the eyes of the law. Now let's talk about something we all do. Window shopping. In California, it's illegal to whistle for a lost canary before 7 in the morning. This sounds random, but it was created because people used to bring their pet birds shopping with them, and if the bird flew away, they'd whistle loudly to get it back. The noise complaints got so bad that they made it illegal to whistle for your bird too early. So if you lose your canary at 6:50 in the morning, you just have to wait 10 minutes before you can call for it. In Georgia, it's illegal to keep an ice cream cone in your pocket. Period. Not just on Sundays like Alabama. Any day, anytime. If you put an ice cream cone in your pocket in Georgia, you're breaking the law. And honestly, who even does that? Your pocket would be a melted, sticky mess. But apparently, enough people did it that they had to make it illegal. Let's move to beverage laws. In Utah, it's illegal to not drink milk. Well, sort of. Utah declared milk as the official state drink, and there was a push to make it mandatory for restaurants to serve milk. While they didn't go that far, there are still strict laws about milk availability. Every store that sells beverages must have milk in stock, and it must be prominently displayed. If you own a store in Utah and you run out of milk, you could face penalties. Here's a shopping law from Arizona. It's illegal to hunt camels. You read that right. Camels. In Arizona. Back in the 1800s, the US Army brought camels to Arizona for an experiment in desert transportation. When the experiment failed, they released the camels into the wild. So technically, there are wild camels in Arizona, and hunting them is illegal. If you see a camel while shopping at an outdoor market and think, "I'm gonna catch that thing," don't. You'll go to jail. In Alaska, it's illegal to push a live moose out of a moving airplane. This is weirdly specific. Why would anyone do this? What situation led to this law being created? Did someone actually push a moose out of a plane? And more importantly, where were they shopping that required this? We may never know. But if you're in Alaska and you have a moose on a plane, just leave it there. Let's talk about grocery carts. In Los Angeles, it's illegal to lick a toad. Now, you're probably wondering what this has to do with shopping. Well, people were buying certain types of toads from exotic pet stores and licking them to get high. The toad's skin contains a hallucinogenic substance. So many people were doing this that LA had to make it specifically illegal. If you lick a toad in Los Angeles, you can be fined or arrested. In Arkansas, it's illegal to mispronounce the state's name. This might not seem shopping related, but imagine this. You walk into a store in Arkansas and ask the cashier, "Hey, do you have any Arkansas t-shirts?" Boom, you just broke the law. The correct pronunciation is Arkansas. And the state takes it so seriously that mispronouncing it is technically a finable offense. Here's one from Ohio. It's illegal to get a fish drunk. This law was created to prevent people from using alcohol to catch fish more easily. But here's where it gets weird. Some pet stores in Ohio sell alcohol-infused fish food as a novelty item. So you can buy the product legally, but using it is illegal. That's some next-level legal confusion right there. In Idaho, you can't give your sweetheart a box of candy that weighs more than 50 pounds. If you really love someone and want to buy them a massive box of chocolates, you better keep it under 50 pounds or you're breaking the law. This was created to prevent overly extravagant courtship gifts that could be seen as bribery or manipulation. So if you're planning a grand romantic gesture in Idaho, maybe stick to flowers. Let's talk about car shopping. In Texas, it's illegal to sell your eye, like your actual human eye. This became a law because there was apparently a black market for human organs, and people were trying to sell their eyes to pay for things. So if you're in Texas and thinking about selling an eye to afford that new truck, legally, you can't. You'll have to find another way. In Illinois, it's illegal to speak English. Wait, what? Let me explain. The official language of Illinois is American, not English. So technically, if you walk into a store and say you're speaking English, you're wrong according to state law. You're speaking American. This is one of those laws that nobody enforces, but it's still hilarious that it exists. Here's a weird one from Iowa. It's illegal for a man with a mustache to kiss a woman in public. So if you have a mustache and you're shopping with your girlfriend and you try to give her a kiss in the store, you're breaking the law. This law was created in the 1800s because mustaches were seen as unsanitary. Apparently, people thought mustaches carried diseases, so kissing with a mustache was considered a public health risk. In Nevada, it's illegal to drive a camel on the highway. Similar to Arizona, Nevada had camels brought in during the 1800s. But unlike Arizona, Nevada made it illegal to use them for transportation on public roads. So if you buy a camel from an exotic animal store in Nevada, you can't ride it home. You'll need a trailer. Let's talk about fashion. In Florida, if you're a woman and you fall asleep under a hairdryer at a salon, both you and the salon owner can be fined. This law was created because women kept getting burned when they fell asleep during their appointments. So now, if you doze off while getting your hair done, you're both criminals. In Maine, it's illegal to keep Christmas decorations up after January 14th. So if you're shopping for Christmas lights in late January because they're on sale, you can buy them, but you can't put them up. And if your neighbor still has their decorations up in February, technically, you can report them. This law was created to keep neighborhoods looking clean, but it's rarely enforced. Here's one from Michigan. It's illegal for a woman to cut her hair without her husband's permission. Yes, really. This law is from the early 1900s and was meant to give husbands legal control over their wives' appearances. Obviously, nobody follows this anymore, but it's still technically on the books. So if you're a married woman in Michigan and you go to the salon without asking your husband, you're technically a criminal. In Mississippi, it's illegal to teach others what polygamy is. So if you're shopping for books about different cultures and marriage practices, and you pick up a book about polygamy, that's fine. But if you explain what you learned to someone else, you're breaking the law. This law was created to discourage the practice of polygamy. But it's so broad that even discussing it academically is technically illegal. Let's move to food laws. In North Dakota, it's illegal to lie down and fall asleep with your shoes on. This might sound unrelated to shopping, but here's the connection. If you buy new shoes, try them on at home, and then take a nap without taking them off, you've committed a crime. This law was supposedly created to reduce the spread of dirt and germs in homes, but it's incredibly specific. In Oregon, it's illegal to pump your own gas. This is one of the few laws on this list that's actually enforced. Oregon has gas attendants at every station, and if you try to pump your own gas, you can be fined. So if you're used to filling up your own tank and you drive through Oregon, don't touch that pump. Let the attendant do it. Here's a bizarre one from Pennsylvania. It's illegal to catch a fish with your mouth. So if you're shopping for fishing gear and the store owner suggests you try a different method, like using your mouth, don't do it. You'll be arrested. This law was created because people were actually doing this as a party trick, and it was considered inhumane to the fish. In South Carolina, it's illegal to work on Sundays. Well, sort of. There's a law that says no one can require you to work on Sunday if it goes against your religious beliefs. But here's the twist. Many stores stay open on Sundays anyway, and employees who refuse to work can technically cite this law, but most people don't know it exists. In Vermont, it's illegal for women to wear false teeth without written permission from their husbands. This is another old law that nobody enforces, but it's still on the books. So if you're a woman shopping for dentures in Vermont, you technically need a permission slip from your husband. Imagine showing up to the dentist with a signed note. Ridiculous. Let's talk about pet shopping. In Washington, it's illegal to paint a horse. Like literally painting a horse with paint. This law was created because people were painting horses to disguise them and sell them as different breeds. So if you buy paint from a hardware store with the intention of giving your horse a makeover, you're breaking the law. In West Virginia, it's illegal to snooze on a train. If you're shopping at a station and decide to take a quick nap while waiting for your train, you could be fined. This law was created because people were missing their stops and causing delays. So stay awake, or you're a criminal. Here's one from Wisconsin. It's illegal to serve apple pie without cheese. In Wisconsin, if you order apple pie at a restaurant, it must be served with cheese. This law was created because Wisconsin is a huge dairy state, and they wanted to promote cheese consumption. So if you're shopping for dessert and you get apple pie without cheese, you're technically being served illegally. In Wyoming, it's illegal to take a photo of a rabbit from January to April without a permit. This law was created to protect rabbits during their breeding season. So if you're shopping for a new camera and you test it out by photographing a rabbit in March, you've committed a crime. You need official permission from the state. Let's get back to grocery shopping. In Canada, specifically in Ontario, it's illegal to drag a dead horse down Yonge Street on Sundays. Yonge Street is a major shopping district, so this law is technically shopping related. If you're dragging a dead horse past all the stores on a Sunday, you're breaking the law. But Mondays through Saturdays, totally fine. Go ahead and drag that horse. In the UK, it's illegal to handle a salmon suspiciously. This law is part of the Salmon Act of 1986, and it's meant to prevent fish poaching. But the wording is so vague that any strange behavior involving a salmon could get you arrested. So if you're at a fish market and you're holding a salmon in a weird way, you could technically be breaking the law. In Australia, it's illegal to be in possession of more than 50 kilograms of potatoes. This law exists in Western Australia and was created to protect the potato industry. If you're shopping for potatoes and you accidentally buy too many, you could be fined up to $2,000. So count your potatoes carefully. In Japan, it's illegal to be fat. Well, sort of. Japan has a law called the Metabo Law that requires people between 40 and 75 to have their waistlines measured annually. If you're over the limit, your employer can be fined. So if you're shopping for clothes in Japan and you need a bigger size, the government is watching. In Saudi Arabia, women were only recently allowed to shop without male guardianship. For decades, women couldn't enter certain stores or make purchases without a male relative present. This law has been relaxed in recent years, but it shows just how restrictive shopping laws can be in some countries. In Singapore, it's illegal to sell or import chewing gum. You can't even buy it in stores. This law was created because people kept sticking gum everywhere, and it was causing maintenance issues. So if you're shopping in Singapore and you're craving some gum, tough luck. In China, it's illegal to reincarnate without government permission. Now, this might not seem shopping related, but here's the connection. If you're shopping for religious items related to Buddhism, and you're a monk, you technically need government approval before you can be reincarnated. Yes, the Chinese government regulates reincarnation. Let's talk about alcohol shopping. In some states in the US, you can't buy alcohol on Sundays. In others, you can only buy it during certain hours. In Texas, liquor stores are completely closed on Sundays, so if you're planning a Sunday barbecue and you need to buy beer, you better shop on Saturday. In Norway, all wine and spirits can only be purchased from government-run stores called Vinmonopolet. You can't buy hard alcohol at regular grocery stores. So if you're shopping for a bottle of vodka, you have to go to a special government store, and they're only open during limited hours. In Sweden, pharmacies have a monopoly on selling nicotine products. You can't buy nicotine gum or patches at a regular store. You have to go to a pharmacy. This law was created to reduce smoking rates, but it makes shopping for these products way more complicated. In France, it's illegal to name a pig Napoleon. This law has been around since the 1800s and was created to protect the legacy of Napoleon Bonaparte. So if you're shopping for a pet pig in France and you want to name it Napoleon, you're technically committing an offense against French national pride. The law was meant to prevent people from mocking the former emperor, but it's so ridiculous that most people don't even know it exists. In Denmark, you must check under your car for sleeping children before starting the engine. This became a law after several incidents where kids would crawl under cars to stay warm or play hide and seek. So if you're coming out of a shopping mall in Denmark with your groceries, you're legally required to check under your vehicle before driving away. Not doing so could result in serious penalties if something goes wrong. In Italy, it's illegal to build sandcastles on some beaches. Certain coastal towns have strict rules about what you can and can't do on the beach, and building sandcastles is considered a disturbance to other beachgoers. So if you buy beach toys at a shop in Venice and head to the beach, you might want to check local regulations first. You could be fined up to €200 for building a sandcastle in the wrong spot. In Germany, it's illegal to run out of gas on the Autobahn. The German government considers running out of fuel to be a preventable situation. So if you're caught stranded on the highway because your tank is empty, you'll be fined. This means if you're shopping for road trip supplies and you forget to fill up your car, you could end up paying a hefty penalty on top of your shopping bill. In Greece, it's illegal to wear high heels at historical sites. The government banned high heels at places like the Acropolis because the shoes were damaging the ancient stone. So if you're shopping for shoes in Athens and you plan to visit some ruins, make sure you grab a pair of flats too. Otherwise, you won't be allowed in, and you could face a fine if you try to sneak past security. In Belgium, it's illegal to have a party in your garden without permission from the police. If you're planning to throw a barbecue after a big shopping trip, you need to notify local authorities first. Even small gatherings can technically require a permit. This law was created to control noise levels, but it means that even buying party supplies for a backyard event could lead to legal trouble if you don't follow the proper procedures. In Hungary, it's illegal to use a fake name on social media. This law was passed to increase online accountability. So if you're shopping online and you create an account using a nickname or fake name, you're technically breaking Hungarian law. The government requires that all social media profiles use real names to prevent fraud and cyberbullying. In Russia, it's illegal to tell kids that gay people exist. This law bans what the government calls gay propaganda aimed at minors. So if you're shopping for children's books in Russia and you find one that mentions same-sex couples, that book is illegal. Publishers can be fined, and stores that sell such materials can be shut down. It's one of the most controversial shopping-related laws in the world. In Thailand, it's illegal to step on money. Thai currency features images of the king, and stepping on money is considered an insult to the monarchy. So if you're shopping in Bangkok and you drop some cash on the ground, don't use your foot to stop it from blowing away. You could be arrested for disrespecting the royal family. People have actually been jailed for this. In Brazil, it's illegal to keep more than one dog if you live in an apartment building without permission from your neighbors. So if you're shopping for pet supplies and you want to buy stuff for 2 dogs, you need to make sure your building allows it. If your neighbors complain, you could be forced to get rid of one of your pets or face legal action. In India, it's illegal to fly a kite without a permit in certain cities. After several incidents where kite strings caused accidents, some Indian cities started requiring permits for kite flying. So if you're shopping for kites in Delhi, make sure you get the proper paperwork first. Flying a kite without permission can result in fines or even jail time in extreme cases. But here's the absolute craziest shopping law I found. In Switzerland, it's illegal to flush the toilet after 10 p.m. if you live in an apartment. Now, you're probably thinking, how is that shopping related? Well, here's the thing. If you're shopping late at night and you get home after 10 p.m. and you need to use the bathroom, you legally can't flush. The law was created to reduce noise complaints, but it's so extreme that it's become one of the most bizarre laws in the world. Imagine buying groceries at 9:45 p.m., rushing home, and then realizing you can't flush your toilet. That's peak legal insanity. So there you have it. 50 freaky shopping laws that sound completely made up but are 100% real. From not being allowed to carry ice cream in your pocket to needing permission to reincarnate, these laws prove that shopping is way more complicated than we thought. Most of these laws are never enforced, but they're still technically legal, which means that right now you could be a criminal and not even know it. The next time you go shopping, just remember, someone, somewhere created a law about what you're doing. And it's probably way weirder than you think. Subscribe for more content, and if you like it, drop a like and a comment below and check out the next video to see even more insane laws.